One, the same people committing the same crimes with the same victims are the problems of Chicago, New York, and New Orleans the fault of red states, or is it a tolerance of murder on the streets of Chicago? Two, hot mic. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping discuss immortality, replacing your organs over time and living forever. You gotta hear the hot mic from Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping with Kennedy Saves the World's Kennedy. Three, the Red Zone channel will take commercials and everyone is mad. They're mad at ESPN, they're mad at the world. We'll break it down with comedian Vince August. It is Will Cain Country, streaming live from New York City at the Will Cain Country YouTube channel, the Fox News Facebook page, terrestrial radio stations across this great United States of America, but always on demand by subscribing at Apple or on Spotify. Welcome into the New York City studios of Will Cain Country. Not in the country, but in the city. Not rural, but urban. For one more day till we return to the friendly confines of Texas. Texas, Dallas, Houston, Austin, not unlike often, cities like Chicago, New York, and New Orleans, where the same people commit the same crimes and produce the same victims, a chronic epidemic of crime. Is it unsolvable, or can it be handled by President Donald Trump? Let's get into that with story number one. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot suggests that everything that Donald Trump is saying about the city of Chicago is manufactured. It's not a real problem. There's not violence. There's not crime. There's not a problem in Chicago. And if there is, it's not their fault. It's not the fault of Mayor Brandon Johnson. It's not the fault of Governor J.B. Pritzker. It's certainly not the fault of former Mayor Lori Lightfoot. It's the fault, you see, of red states. Here's Lori Lightfoot.
The crime rate has gone down. You heard the numbers of decreases in homicides and shootings and other violent crimes that have gone down and have been going down for the last 4 years. We can't ignore that because the president is making up his own fact. And we also know there are red cities in red states that have higher per capita rates of gun violence and other violent crime that we're not hearing coming out of the president's mouth as the places where he really wants to go. So I just will not play this game. This is about violent crime. What do communities need? We need to stop the flow of illegal guns. Mayor Johnson was 100% right about that. You don't gut the ATF, which is, by the way, really small to begin with. You should increase and expand the numbers.
False, false, false. One, even if the crime rate's going down over the last 4 years, does that mean you've achieved some level of tolerance when it comes to crime? And one of the worst cities in the United States of America, Chicago, which I believe comes in at about number 8 in violent crime per capita. Have you achieved an acceptable level of violence for Chicagoans? Two, I defy you, former Mayor Lori Lightfoot, to name the red cities and red states that have worse per capita violent crime rates than the city of Chicago. Of course, she would not be able to. She's not playing a game, but she's actually, yes, indeed playing a game of falsehoods. You know that if you watch Will Cain Country. We have laid out for you not just the top 10, but the top 20, the top 30 cities in the country, violent crime per capita, all blue cities. Some blue cities in red states, but all blue cities. Name for me the red city in the red state that has worse violent crime per capita than Chicago. Of course, a red city implies a Republican mayor, Republican policies. A Republican state implies Republican governor, Republican policies. Almost every, I believe the number is only 5 out of the top 50 cities in America for violent crime per capita would be characterized as red cities. And then she suggests that almost all the problems being imported into Chicago when it comes to guns are the fault of the policies of red states. That's something we're also hearing from the current mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson.
We need the federal government to stop the endless flow of guns into our state and into our city. Chicago police officers have taken more than 24,000 guns, illegal guns, off the streets of Chicago since I've taken office. We will never be able to end gun violence in Chicago as long as the president continues to allow tens of thousands of guns to be trafficked into our state and our city. The vast majority of guns do not come from Chicago. They are not made in Cook County. They are not bought in the state of Illinois. These guns come from red states. They are coming from Indiana. They are coming from Mississippi. They are coming from Louisiana. And that is the harsh reality, whether Republicans like it or not.
That is not the harsh reality. That is false. You know how you know Brandon Johnson is lying? His lips are moving. The ATF has published their data from 2023. Here is the data from the ATF. Roughly 23,000 firearms were recovered in the state of Illinois in 2023. Of those, 9,147 were from Illinois. And in a distant second, roughly 800 were from Indiana. Beyond Indiana, there were not even 1,000 guns recovered or traced with origins in another single state. You want to take a look on your screen, you'll see guns like from Texas, recovered in Illinois, 315. From Tennessee, 390. From Mississippi, 419. Over 9,000 of the 23,000 guns recovered in Illinois originated in the state of Illinois. False. Wrong. Lie. Mayor Brandon Johnson. That sets aside the fact that a gun is a tool. Blaming a gun for violence is blaming a fork for someone being fat. A gun is a tool. A human being has to be on the other end of that gun. A human being has to be pulling the trigger. And if you want the truth about the problem of crime in Chicago, or in New York, or in New Orleans, or in Dallas, or Houston, or Birmingham, Alabama, it is the same group of people committing the same crimes on the same victims over and over. Here are stats out of New York City. The 3-year recidivism rate. Nearly 40% of people released from Illinois prison. This is not from New York City. This is actually from the state of Illinois. Nearly 40% of people released from Illinois prison populations returned within the next 3 years. World Population Review cites a 2024 3-year reincarceration rate of 36.7% for Illinois, while 2019 saw 43%, according to the Illinois State Commission on Criminal Justice and Sentencing Reform. In 2011, the Pew Research Center found that at 52%, Illinois had one of the highest recidivism rates in the country. Recidivism is the act of re-engaging in criminal offending despite having been punished. The recidivism rate is the proportion of persons released from prison who are rearrested, reconvicted, or returned to custody within a specific time period. Whether or not it is New York or Illinois, the same people commit the same crimes over and over. When we talk broadly about crime in Chicago, we get the impression that it's every citizen or a large percentage of the citizenry committing crimes, committing murder, committing theft. It's not. It's the same group of people in the same neighborhoods, over and over committing the same crimes. You have a relatively small portion of people in America responsible for making it unlivable to be in America. And if you want to be specific, what we're talking about when it comes to the overwhelming majority of crime is that most of the crime in Chicago occurs on the south side and the west side of Chicago. Most of the crime in New York occurs in the Bronx and in Brooklyn. Most of the crime in Dallas occurs in South Dallas. These are poor, black neighborhoods where the criminals are primarily black perpetrators. But the real catch is that the victims, almost inevitably, are black Americans. For Donald Trump to offer assistance to Chicago or New York or Los Angeles, and for that to be denied and turned down by the likes of Brandon Johnson, is to essentially say, for decades, we've had a problem of crime, of victimization in black neighborhoods in cities across America, committed by black perpetrators, Black on black crime, black on black murder. It is an chronic, decades-long, half a century-long problem in the United States. And if someone is offering some solution, and maybe the solution isn't perfect in your mind, maybe that solution shouldn't require the National Guard, but that solution has remained elusive for every local politician for a half a century. Maybe at some point your citizenry requires that leadership takes action. Leadership takes decision-making. Leadership requires a solution. And for Brandon Johnson or J.B. Pritzker or Lori Lightfoot or Zohran Mamdani should become the mayor of New York City, to deny their people a solution, a people that have been victimized chronically for half a century, is to consign those people not just to a lifetime of victimhood, but generations of victimhood. If you're born on the south side of Chicago, you're black and you're poor, you are highly likely to be the victim of a violent crime. And for Brandon Johnson to deny you a potential solution is for him to consign not just you, but your family and your children and your neighborhood to the same type of epidemic that your parents suffered, that was suffered by your grandparents. And for them to shift the problem to the inanimate object of the gun, for them to shift the problem to faraway states and faraway politicians, is not just a lie, it's an insulting lie. And it's not just an insulting lie, it's a harmful lie. It literally kills. The lies of Lori Lightfoot and the lies of Brandon Johnson literally kill black victims on the south side of Chicago. If the problem is too much for you, then leadership is too much for you. You don't belong with power in Chicago. You don't belong with power in New Orleans. You don't belong in power in New York. Get out of the way and let a real leader solve the problems of Chicagoans. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping say they want to live forever, and they might be able to pull it off. Plus, I keep talking about the Handmaid's Tale dystopian vision of the left, but they keep giving me evidence this is actually what they think might be the real world. And what would you do with $1.4 billion, the latest Powerball? We break it down with the host of Kennedy Saves the World, Kennedy, next on Will Cain Country. Replace your liver, replace your heart. Live forever. That's the secret, apparently, of Vladimir Putin. It is Will Cain Country, streaming live at the Will Cain Country YouTube channel and the Fox News Facebook page. Hit us up at Spotify or on Apple. While you're there, check out Kennedy Saves the World. And I've got the host with me right now. Welcome in, Kennedy.
Thank you, Will Cain.
I am dressed casually.
I also am dressed casually.
I just told Kennedy I'm going to meet with the big boss right after her show, which I will be taping after Will Cain Country. I said, am I too casual?
No.
But your voice is doing funny things.
Yeah.
It's not inspiring comments. You know when somebody says something and their voice goes up at the end?
You're saying something, though, by being casual. I just want to make sure what you're saying is you and I are so comfortable with each other that I can be myself. Or it's saying, I don't care enough about you to
This
look
meeting.
my best. Yeah.
Well, I can always say I was just on air.
I mean, if you
Casual.
showed up in a top hat and tails, that might be trying too hard.
But I don't want to show up in a tank top.
I don't know, man. It's a different world.
You know, I've never adopted the tank top, Kennedy, and
It's a commitment.
I see a guy every once in a while in a tank top, and I think, that guy's really rocking it. He's pulling off the tank top.
You're saying something. So you're either saying, like, I am so comfortable with my body, like I'm soft and have man boobs and I don't care who knows. Or it's like, I look so good, I can't keep this away from the world. But it's like, you're definitely saying something.
But I think it has to be a specific tank top. It's got to be the ones that are loose around the armpits and thin around the top of the shoulder. I don't like simply something that's close to sleeveless. It's got to be I like the tank top that says, I just got done fishing and smoking a pack of Marlboro Reds.
Sure.
You know that tank top?
Absolutely.
That's the tank top I like.
I like that tank top as well.
And I don't have that in the arsenal.
That's okay.
But
you don't necessarily have to because you are saying something. I mean, you are saying something, either check out or be repulsed by my body.
That reminds me, I want to introduce to you a comedy bit by a guy named Drewski. Are you familiar with Drewski?
I've heard the name Drewski.
Drewski's gotten big on social media. He's a black guy. He does a lot of situational comedy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's
a
very-
NASCAR guy.
Pretty well, sometimes. He
Okay.
hangs out with Roll Tide Willie, who's a big Alabama fan. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Well, he didn't have a good weekend last weekend,
He did not. Good point, Kennedy. Well, Drewski dressed up and went to a NASCAR race. But he didn't just dress up. He body painted up.
Yes.
And he did a little bit of reverse Soul Man. You're a child like me of the 80s and 90s.
Absolutely.
You remember the C. Thomas Howell movie?
Are you kidding me?
Soul Man.
Yeah.
Where he became black to
In
get
order
into
to Harvard.
Get into Harvard.
Yeah.
And then he lived a life, went to Harvard, of a black man. Well, Drewski decided he was going to live the life of a white man at a NASCAR race.
Okay.
Watch.
Come and knock
I
on
thought
our
you had that side. Oh, he
door.
doesn't have it. 2-a-days. I texted him for the show. I guess we weren't able to pull that off. Here's the question, though. Drewski, it's amazing.
I'm going to put this down now.
It's amazing hair and makeup.
Okay, yes.
He looks white.
Yes.
And he's even got a sunburn.
Yeah, I saw that. He has a farmer's tan.
He's wearing
Yeah.
overalls.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's interacting. There's some pictures on the screen
Yeah.
of what he looks like. It's incredible. Let's just take a moment and just marvel at the hair and makeup. That is award-winning level.
Is that a painted-on tattoo? Because that's all pretty great.
So he has
Very convincing.
painted on white skin,
Okay.
painted on sunburn, painted on tattoos.
That
It's
is-
layers on layers.
That is commitment. So do you remember the Eddie Murphy skit from Saturday Night Live where he dressed up as a white man and wanted to see what it was like being a white man for the day?
I do,
It
yes.
was very, very funny. And so he's on the bus, and the one black guy gets off the bus, and all the white people start cheering and dancing because they're by themselves. And he goes to buy the paper, and the guy's like, no, you're white. Just take it. Just go ahead. It's yours.
Right.
Like everything's
He got unlocked
his
into a
mind
secret
is
world.
blown,
A
yes.
secret world of white
Yeah.
people. It's funny. Drewski does some things in there, like when he interacts very tensely with black people. He spits at their feet and he
Oh,
says things like,
God.
"What are you doing, boy?" Here at this NASCAR race. It's all in service of comedy, though, because of course Drewski's black and he's
Yeah.
pretending to be a white redneck, interacting. I'm not
I
taking
know,
any.
but that's not what white rednecks do. It can happen, but I've been to plenty of NASCAR races. I watch a lot of NASCAR. My sexy teenage boyfriend is a huge NASCAR fan. We watch NASCAR every weekend because we watch qualifying on Saturdays too, and a lot of Xfinity Cup races as well. So I know these people. I'm from Southern Indiana. I grew up going to stock car races. They don't spit. I don't like that
I
stereotype.
totally agree. It's inaccurate, but it doesn't bother me because it's in service of comedy. Drewski's just being funny.
If it was funny, now we don't have the clip right here.
I know.
I can't see it. But if it's funny, like much and most is forgiven in comedy
Exactly.
if it's funny.
Okay, this is what I want to challenge you on, though.
Okay.
I don't take anything, and maybe there are people that do that are upset that Drewski did this and painted white rednecks in this light. I think he did it in service of comedy, so I'm not upset. However, I do think there's a thinky thing here. If it were still in service of comedy, but the roles were reversed, would it be pulled off? So if a white man dressed up as black went into a black community,
No,
did this, but it was funny.
no, it wouldn't be acceptable. I mean, there is still a double standard.
But
Even if it was
why?
super, super funny.
Even if it was super, super
Why
funny.
don't you ask your friend Megyn
But
Kelly
why?
why? Because she asked the same question and got fired from NBC for asking a question.
What was she got fired from NBC for talking about wearing blackface on
Yeah,
Halloween.
and she said, "Why is it so offensive?" And she just asked why. Just like you were
I don't
asking now,
remember the
like
clip.
why is
I
there
don't
a
remember the
double,
clip.
double
So
standard?
she did
And that was
nothing more than what I've done
and
right
it
now.
unleashed holy hell. And they're like, "We're gonna give you the $60 million remaining on your contract. Just go away and never come back."
It's the best
That
deal
was
she
it.
ever made.
Yeah. It's
For
like,
simply asking why.
Can I ask a couple more questions? They're like, "No, leave."
I don't have a $60 million contract, or I'd keep pushing the issue
Yeah.
right now.
Well, maybe if you're dressed in a suit, you would.
Maybe if I didn't show up to meetings with the executives in a short sleeve shirt. But I do think it's an interesting question, the why. Even if it got Megyn Kelly fired, why if it's in service of comedy?
Yeah.
You're right. Funny forgives.
Richard Pryor said that. You know, and Richard Pryor tackled a lot of race issues head on in his comedy, and he was very honest. But he said, like, all is forgiven if it's funny. But, people don't see it that way because they choose to make comedy so subjective that if I choose to be aggrieved, it is no longer funny.
And only some people have the aggrieved card. So some cards have power, some cards are impotent.
Yes.
And the reverse card is impotent.
Yeah.
And that card is powerful. Hopefully I'll have this clip when we pull this one off as you put your headphones to your ear.
Yeah.
Have you seen, I'm sure you have, the clip of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin?
I love this.
I think this is incredible. Watch them meeting in China.
China. You're still a child.
Vladimir Putin is suggesting to Xi that earlier people lived, it was hard for them to live to 70. Xi Jinping says, yes, now everybody can live past 70. And then Putin, in Russian, which I'll translate for you, with the development of biotechnology, human organs can be replaced and transplanted, and people can live younger and younger and achieve immortality.
Yeah. Okay.
They're having a casual conversation walking down a red carpet in a military parade with Vladimir Putin talking about organ transplants to achieve immortality.
Yes. So the couple things here. This is how my friends and I talk when we discuss going to South Korea for beauty treatments. Because we're like, I don't care what it is. I don't care how they get it. If it makes me look better, I will do it. I had this conversation today with a friend here on the 12th floor. And we were talking about what do they do in South Korea? Because there are all these rumors like you can get stem cells, you can get salmon sperm, you can get injections, you can get electroshocks. It's cheaper, it's better. They'll do it all at once and you'll look amazing. So I think they're basically having the conversations that me and my friends that we have about SoCo beauty.
Oh, Vlad and Xi, you're just talking about how to...
Yeah.
Do you do Botox?
Yeah.
No, I do fillers.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you do liver transplant?
They worry about, like, have you ever done the CO2 laser? I thought about it, but then a friend told me to get Morpheus. Oh, I hear that doesn't work at all, and it's very expensive and painful. So that's the same thing. Like, they're both terrified they're going to die. And there were rumors for years that Putin had pancreatic cancer. Well, if he really did, and he's still alive, he probably, if he had pancreatic cancer, he was surgically treated, maybe chemotherapy, and, he has obviously overcome the malady. But, guys this age who want to be powerful forever, they'll think of ways to keep living so they can extend their power. My worry is that with dictators, they are going to farm the organs from people who are not necessarily willing to give them up by virtue of dying. Yes. And so that my worry is that in China, they have Uyghur farms where they just go in and take out livers and kidneys and eyeballs and whatever they want and use them for the upper echelon.
It's the right size
have
for
the
Vladimir?
connection. And yes, do you think Vladimir would like this pancreas? But you can't transplant a pancreas.
Okay, I don't know anything about pancreas.
You can do a Whipple, but you cannot transplant.
You know way too much. Are you afraid of death?
Interesting. No, like the idea of death and being gone doesn't scare me. It never has.
Me either.
I've never been scared of like rattlesnakes or spiders, like nothing like that. I get a little yippy on bumpy plane flights, but I think like a painful death, the act of dying is scary, but actual like on the other side, I think is fascinating.
Yeah, I don't think about death. I think some people do think about death.
Yes.
Meaning this all comes to an end. I don't think about that at all, really. Warren Buffett, who I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett. I think he's one of the most wise men. He and I don't agree on everything when it comes to politics, but he's obviously one of the greatest investors of all time, one of the richest men in the world, apparently, and reportedly, thinks about death. Thinks about death a lot. I don't. Now, maybe with age, I'll begin to think about it more as it gets closer. But I hear this from Vladimir Putin, and that's what kind of strikes me is guys thinking about death. And maybe he's just thinking about it academically and theoretically, and they're having an interesting conversation the same way you and I are.
Well, no, they both supposedly carry around their own toilets.
Yes, I read that, so that you won't take Vladimir Putin's DNA off of stool samples.
Yeah.
So when he comes to America, they take home his stool.
They have the poop police, and they will descend on any hotel he stays at.
But I don't know. I think it's interesting that there are some people who it's a big part of their life to put it in the context of death.
It's the driving force. It is fearing death. It is fighting death. It is the terror of the inevitability. But it's like, if you can get past that, I think your life is a lot more fun.
I do too.
Yeah.
But that fun doesn't include fat injections for me. So
Not
I
yet.
want to know,
You still
you
have
are at the front end.
supple, like nice, firm, succulent cheeks. Like you're fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Never had that described for me in that way. I yet find myself fascinated by all of it. It's on my
Absolutely.
Instagram feed, and I read about like what I don't know what he did, but there's something different about Tom Brady, and I'm fascinated by the things that everybody is doing. And here's my only question for you: if you are somebody who's open and honest about you are actually interested in like going to South Korea or doing all these different things, how do you feel about the idea of being a first adopter? Like you want to get the first iPhone, but I'm not sure you want to get the first fat
I don't
injection.
want to get the first beauty thing.
Yes.
And I'm very confident that there are people who seek this stuff out more aggressively with greater urgency. And I ride their coattails.
Yeah, let them be a guinea pig.
Absolutely right. And then if someone looks great, I go, oh, that's cool. That's much more interesting than withering away.
But what is your timeline? Like, you should let the guinea pig play out for a little bit. Like,
Well, see, that's the thing.
let's
It
see how it
keeps
settles
changing.
in 5 years.
Yeah, but it keeps it keeps changing. Like, when I was 30, Botox was a thing. And I was like, oh, that's terrifying. People are going to poison themselves. And then more and more of my friends did it. I'm like, well, that's very intriguing. But then you see people who overdo it with things like filler. And they have body dysmorphia. And they're like, oh, my face falling apart. I have to put more crap in my cheeks. And then they get like Chrissy Teigen chipmunk cheeks. And they look awful. And everyone knows. And there's no one in their life going, hey, pump the brakes. Everyone's like, Chrissy, you look amazing. Like, never better.
All right, I have this theory, Kennedy, and I'm not unique. This is not some special pearl of mine, but apparently the most impactful piece of fictional content to be released in the past decade has been The Handmaid's Tale. Okay. It has shaped an entire political movement and an entire generation. Yes. And they are living in this dystopian reality thinking it was a documentary.
Oh.
And I have used this often on television on this show to say this is how they make sense of the world. This is how they make sense of Donald Trump. That it's actually The Handmaid's Tale playing out. Well, I've been validated because a reporter I believe it is for HuffPost, Jennifer Bendery, she claimed in a viral tweet that Union Station, D.C. is now a literal representation of The Handmaid's Tale. You can see it on your screen as we speak.
Let's see.
This is what she posted, but many people are pointing out, yeah, but you dressed up in The Handmaid's Tale outfit to make it look like The Handmaid's Tale. She's standing next to some National Guardsmen at Union Station. And is it Union Station It is Union Station in Washington, D.C.
Yep. I've been there, a lot of homeless people.
Why do they think it's a documentary? They literally are believing and living The Handmaid's Tale.
I don't know, but if you're going to invest that something is a documentary and it is the terrifying vision of what dystopia will really look like, watch Idiocracy. That is much more accurate. And every time something weird happens, it's like, well, Idiocracy was in fact a documentary. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I have.
It's like,
and I've said this. I was just, while you're saying it, I'm trying to think. Did Idiocracy, has it played out? And because people have said this from time to time. So one of the big points of Idiocracy is that people stop having babies. And what is it that only the stupid people have procreated? Yeah. And that's I mean.
and then they get law degrees at Costco.
and a professional wrestler is elected president of the United States, and everybody drinks energy
Trump
drinks
was
at all
reelected,
times.
They're like, well, here we go.
And everybody's only drinking caffeinated energy drinks.
And the plants won't grow.
It is, you're right, a little bit close to true. I've done this story. Birth rates are on the decline.
Yes.
Do you know who birth rates are on the decline the most notably by? Is by the political left. So they're going to say, yeah, it's just your stupid right-wingers that are having babies, so we're headed for Idiocracy.
Like, great.
No,
cool.
but I'm looking at the stats going, this may actually be our savior.
Yeah. No, this is great. There were people running around going, maybe we should have a third. It's like, yes, do it.
I know.
Have more babies. Good people should have babies.
I agree. I wish I had more babies. Too late, unless I get my organs transplanted. Powerball, $1.4 billion.
Bought 20 tickets yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, you say it like that.
Because they it rolled over from yesterday. It's like, I didn't win. I was so optimistic. I was behind the lady at this kind of dirty little bodega on 10th Avenue, and she was buying, like, I could tell she was a hardworking woman, and she was buying Powerball tickets. She was buying, like, the different electronic tickets. She was buying the scratchers, and I love scratchers. Like, you are an optimist if you're scratching tickets. Like, oh yeah, give me the $30, woo! And she bought the $30 one and the $5 one, and I was hoping, I was like, if it's not me, then please let it be her who wins the $1.3 billion. Because, you know, it did roll over. It's going to be more money, and I'm going to play again.
Cash value, $634 million.
Fine. I'm fine with it.
Taxes, you're probably taking home now, what are we looking at, $350 million?
That's okay. I can deal with 350, 325. We start going below 350, and I'm having a little bit of an issue.
You don't quit your job? Below 300, you keep your job?
No way, yeah.
What do you do with $350 million?
Two chicks at the same time. No, I'm just kidding. Probably buy a rad jet.
Okay.
Yeah, not just like a private plane, not just like a G6, but like, or G7. I don't know what they're up to now.
Give lots of charity. Let's say that. Let's get that out front.
Obviously, I would
Right.
buy the plane
Yeah,
to fly the
right.
orphans wherever they want to go.
Give a lot to charity.
Which hopefully
help
is
out
like
my family.
Bali, Fiji,
Yeah.
find some good surf breaks, a nice gentle right here or there.
You bring up a great purchase. Okay, with $350 million, the first thing I said I'm going to buy is a ranch. I'm getting thousands of acres. I don't care the price per acre. We have $300 million.
Nice.
I'm going to buy this ranch. I didn't say what you said, and I should have, because people that know, and I'm not someone that knows, but people that know say the biggest life-changing experience that wealth can bring is the private plane. It changes your life.
Nice.
You get everywhere you want to go.
Yeah, that's
on
what I
an
want.
easy time.
Exactly. But
No
I want the
TSA.
jet. I want the big, fat, I want the 767, not the 787. I'm not selfish. But it's like, you know, I want to do like the Sprinter van version on a plane where you have like great storage and comfy seats and entertainment and a Pilates reformer. Like, I want all that on the private plane. Like, it's going to be amazing. And then I want John Travolta. I'm going to have so much money. I want John Travolta to be the full-time pilot. Because he knows how to fly jets.
I don't think $300 million is going to get you John Travolta.
Well, it's not, but, you know, hopefully we invest a little bit, we grow some things.
Have you heard this before? And I've heard this conversation had. It's usually among very wealthy people, that there is a certain amount of wealth that is a diminishing return. There is a sweet spot on wealth. And that over that, the wealth actually becomes burdensome and less happy.
Okay.
And the number, by the way, is well below 300 million. Like,
Really?
oh yeah. Like, I have heard that the sweet spot is like, this is such a snooty conversation, but I've heard it is around 30 million. Like,
Okay.
And that you get more than $30 million and it actually becomes a burden.
I don't think it would be a burden. I think I'd be able to handle
I
it.
want to figure out.
I would
if-
be just
I'm happy
fine.
to be the guinea pig on this experiment
Exactly.
to figure
Because
out.
I know I have been through so much. I have been through career ups and downs. I have lost family members. I have seen good people come and go into this world.
And
I have
your
had
lesson at the end of
my
all that
heart
is
broken.
the only thing that
I've had my
remains is
dreams
money?
fulfilled. No, I've been through so much. I know I would be the same. Therefore, if I could afford more, I would have a great time because I know I love taking the people I love with me wherever I go. So it is going to be a nonstop party.
Will you show up to work on Monday?
Yeah, I'll show up on Monday because I gotta make sure everything gets
Say your
transferred.
goodbyes. Say your goodbyes.
Exactly. And that would be so
I want to
brave
walk
of
through
me.
the office. I want to pimp walk through the office.
I want to be like the camel going hump day.
So you'd quit your job.
I don't know if I would quit my job, but I would,
Scale it back.
I would have more flexible hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sydney Sweeney, American Eagle.
Yeah.
Have you seen the stats?
Yeah.
The
It's,
stats are incredible.
that is a marketing success.
The-
So anyone who has given them a hard time can suck on a pair of jeans.
Suck on a pair of jeans whose stock is up 25%. That's according to the latest earnings report. According to the American Eagle CMO, Craig Brommers, he told Wall Street analysts that the company's earnings spiked due to incredible marketing. He threw in Travis Kelce along with Sydney Sweeney. I'm sure that Travis Kelce contributed at least a good 2% to the growth of American Eagle. It's Sydney Sweeney. It
Yeah.
boomed. It worked. And they are reaping huge benefits.
But it was the way they did it. It was the copyright. It was not copyright. It was the copy they used in the ads. It was the way it was shot. It was less, not more. And it also appealed to women, not just men. Because women look at that and go, oh, I would wear those jeans. It's, women aren't looking at that going, oh my God, she is such a floozy. Like, she is so gross and disgusting. And I would never, and barf in my mouth. They're like, oh, yes, that would make me look hot too. Like, I'm totally going to go buy those jeans. And that's what I think about, because I am very susceptible to marketing and advertising. And if it's good, just look at my Instagram shopping history. Like, I will buy things. If I can visualize myself having a better life because of someone else's product, I'm a sucker. And I looked at that ad and thought, yeah, I would waltz by there and maybe get a pair.
And there is also, Kennedy, the backlash created the benefit. And there's an interesting thing. If you're a chief marketing officer, at some point you do, and it's a little bit of fire. You're playing with fire.
Yes.
But if you can court the right backlash, you can court the benefit. So the fact that a probably really radically small minority of people somehow managed to characterize this as Nazi or eugenic, courted the right amount of backlash for sane and reasonable people to pay more attention, not just to Sydney Sweeney, but American Eagle.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And if honestly I'm a CMO somewhere, I'm going, I don't even know if you can plan this. Two-a-days, my producer thinks that they actually did at American Eagle. They saw this potential backlash and ran this campaign. I'm not so sure they didn't just stumble backwards into this
I
backlash.
think they knew it was controversial. I don't think they realized it was going to be a political division. The smart thing they did was you have to lean into it immediately and don't switch course, which, you know, Cracker Barrel, really stupid. Like, their rollout was awful and clumsy. And that CEO she does not come from a Cracker Barrel family. She's never, you know, before she was forced at professional gunpoint to go into a Cracker Barrel and dine. She's not a Cracker Barrel person. I guarantee you, before she became the CEO there, she did not have a Cracker Barrel order. But, you know, looking at that, I was like, maybe they did that on purpose so they could revert. And reverting back to what Cracker Barrel was and should be, they re-energized the brand. If they did that, that person's a genius. That person is not the CEO. I do not believe that was, she had the foresight.
Well, do you think, this was a theory from our childhood, hearkening back to the 80s. The strategy you just described, many people debated, is that what they did with New Coke? Did they do New Coke to outrage everybody, to reintroduce original Coca-Cola, and then see everybody with nostalgia and glee re-embrace Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
Or was it a horrible marketing misstep that they just corrected?
I think what happened was the person who came up with the idea for New Coke was like, I'm a genius, let's do this. And then there were people at Coke going, this is going to fail. This is going to destroy our market share. You know, the Cola Wars were in full effect. And we know a lot of veterans of the Cola Wars. Pete Hegseth, our good friend, he honors them every single day. But they were like, Pepsi's nipping at our heels. If we screw this up, we'll be #2 from here on out. So that person was the one who came in and said, let's go back to Coca-Cola Classic. We can give them both, but this way we have 2 drinks to Pepsi's 1.
I'll give you 3 guesses.
Because you're telling me my childhood was a lie.
I'll give you 3 guesses to the Secretary of Defense favorite soda.
Okay.
Can
Dr.
you
Pepper.
guess? No.
Really?
That,
That must be yours, though.
yeah, but I'm 50, so it's Diet Dr. Pepper.
That's fine. I like Dr. Pepper Zero. I think it's fantastic. I'm still brand loyal.
It's my airplane order. You know, you treat yourself on the airplane, I'll take a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Diet Coke, because he loves Trump.
Nope.
Okay, I get 3 guesses. Is
And you're
it
down to
something?
1.
Is it something very obvious or something shocking?
It's probably in the top 10. It might be a top 5 soda.
Ginger ale?
Mountain Dew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a Mountain Dew guy.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
think
of
that's a
surprising.
northern thing. I bet he's a Pepsi guy over Coke, because I feel
Yeah.
like Pepsi was a northern thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cowboy struck a Pepsi dealership back in the day, but the South is Coca-Cola.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all, I mean, Texas is Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Love Dr. Pepper.
I adore it.
You love Dr. Pepper.
Yes. My youngest daughter, her name is Dr. Pepper. That's it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope she goes to medical school.
And your adopted child is Mr. Pibb.
We don't like him that much, but he'll do in a pinch.
That's right. That's one of my favorite lines from all movies is the Royal Tenenbaums, when he always introduces Margot as his adopted daughter. It's like,
Great.
here's Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
All right, before we go, I hate to shift to a more serious subject, but I do want to do this with Kennedy.
Okay.
Malcolm Gladwell came out, interestingly, and I think, guys, 2 days, I think you have sound on Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
And he says that in a monk debate a few years ago, when he took the side, I believe, under the banner of inclusion for trans athletes, that he was bullied and he was pressured, and he now regrets it. I think here is Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
If we did a replay of that exact panel, at the Sloan Conference this coming March, it runs in exactly the opposite direction. And it would be, I suspect, near unanimity in the room that trans athletes have no place in the female category. I don't think there's any question. I just think it was a strange. I mean, the reason I'm ashamed of my performance at that panel because I share your position 100%, and I was cowed. The idea of saying anything on this issue, I was I believe in retrospect, in a dishonest way. I was objective in a dishonest way. I let a lot of howlers pass.
Pretty fascinating sound from Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, I was objective in a dishonest way. Well, that does not mean that you were being objective, because if you were being objective, you were seeking the truth. The truth is honest by definition. It sucks oftentimes, but you don't say you were bullied. You can say, I put a lot more thought into this because at the time I had an emotional reaction. Emotional reactions are subjective. It's based on how we feel in the moment, whether it's a moment in time or a cultural moment. And there are a lot of people rushing to be the right ones and to virtue signal about something that is objectively wrong. Like, I have a lot of trans friends. I do. I feel bad for them. I fear for them. They're being targeted more than ever before. People are saying very, very hateful things. They're truly trans. But the legion of kids who are being groomed to come out trans now.
Have you seen the stats?
Mathematically, it's impossible.
The stats are incredible.
It is impossible. And so, there's something going on here, and I agree with him. Like, as the mother of girls, I would not want young men competing in gymnastics against my daughters. It's unfair. It is biologically unfair. Having said that, if there are trans athletes, Martina Navratilova said it right. Then there has to be an open category where if they're great athletes and they want to compete on their, gender of choosing, then do it in an open category. And, we still, like it or not, have to fight for women in certain spaces in culture.
So a couple of things. The stats that you referenced. So I believe at this point, 25% of Gen Z identifies as LGBTQIA+,
Yes.
something under that banner. That's a shocking number, 25%, which does in and of itself, although that's a lot of categories, that was a lot of letters in the acronym, defy really honestly reasonable expectation. And I believe the trans number is at 3%? Is it 3% where a few years ago it was a fraction of 1%?
Yeah.
It just doesn't compute. To the point of what I think you alluded to, like we're dealing with social contagion and trend and a lot of things that are influencing this.
Suggestibility. And kids worry that, they're looking around like they better say something, like they better identify as something, or they're not cool.
Or you're vanilla.
And the worst, most boring thing in the world is to be a heterosexual female. I cannot imagine anything more basic and boring. And so everyone is like, no, I like both. I'm super sex, I'm intersex, I'm hypersex, like whatever you want me to be, I'll say it. And that is the predatory nature of kids' suggestibility. And there is substantial pushback on that right now because, you don't want to be a bigot, but also you don't want to be an ostrich. You can't pretend that this isn't happening.
Two more things. I do believe while people can have an emotional response, there are also people that are cowed and bullied. And I think that one of the most basic motivations of humankind is fear and weakness. Avoidance of fear, give in to weakness. And I don't doubt even a self-styled intellect like Malcolm Gladwell would be capable of giving in to fear and weakness. And so he goes into that Sloan Conference debate and takes the position he takes, intellectually dishonest, yet happy to swim downstream with the masses at that moment. And now I think what he's suggesting is it's not just he who has changed, but that the panel itself would change, meaning the waters have changed. And now I'm okay swimming in the other direction, that the waters are flowing towards truth.
Yeah, but I think that's hypocritical.
Oh, it's awful.
And, I think
it's weak.
It's a way for people to manipulate by saying, you know what, I was wrong then, I'm right now because I've changed and now I believe what you believe.
And so the question I would have on the change is, now are you strong?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Well,
not are you right or you wrong? but now are you strong?
I mean, it was like Kamala Harris changing her positions and running against herself in her own statements. Why wouldn't you change back? Like, that's the thing that I have a hard time with. If you're so malleable that you are going to do a 180, then why wouldn't you reverse course and pull a Rockford again?
All right, last question for you on this, because you know what you have articulated here with me today is a very nuanced position on a couple of levels on an issue that is incredibly divisive. I have pretty hard opinions on this. I feel strongly about this issue on a lot of levels. You had a lot of pushback, by the way, like 2 weeks ago, I noticed on the 5.
Oh, yeah.
I believe, was it about the Minneapolis trans shooter?
Yeah, and I said, you know, the driving factor looking at this wasn't the fact that this person was trans. It's that this person is deeply mentally ill. And I stand by that. And that mental illness may have been indulged by someone at some point saying, well, you know, maybe that feeling of not being so right, maybe you're just in the wrong body. And, you know, that sort of indulgence without treating an underlying mental illness, it's a recipe for disaster.
So there's a ton of overlap there, right?
Yeah.
It's not to suggest that every trans person is mentally ill.
That's what I have a hard time with, because if you're,
but
and
a
also,
lot,
but
there's a lot of overlap.
Okay. I don't doubt that. But what I will say is, as a very strict adherent to the Second Amendment, for conservatives like Charlie Kirk to come out and say trans people shouldn't own guns, it's like, oh, so now we're carving out territory, you know, people who have attributes we disagree with, we're going to deny them gun ownership. That
Not
I have a hard
attributes,
time with.
but not attributes, Kenny. The argument would be, and I don't know where I stand on red flag laws, what you're talking about. Are we going to deny rights, in this case gun ownership, to people who are mentally ill? The argument is
define mental illness
well,
to the point where that
Totally.
definition, because
set aside
mental illness
trans.
can be people who are insomniacs. Mental
Totally.
illness could be
I'm with
people
you.
who had panic disorder in their teens. So are all
Totally.
those
and
people?
who's the doctor, and who's the one taking them to court?
That's my problem.
I'm with
because
you on
that is
this.
a very
Mental
slippery
illness is a
slope.
really hard thing to maybe not define, but to draw a fence around.
It is a massive umbrella that could ostracize half of the country from legal, responsible gun ownership.
Half of the country is probably on SSRIs that are some type of treatment for some varying degrees of levels of mental illness, right?
Well,
so if
mean,
if you're taking SSRIs for depression, well, depression is a mental illness. If you're taking it for bipolar, bipolar is a mental illness.
Body dysmorphia
If you're taking,
is mental illness, then weightlifters, bodybuilders, you know, runway models, they all have versions of body dysmorphia. People who are on Ozempic, who aren't overweight, they can't own guns. Like, that's my
I'm with
problem.
you on that.
It's like, if you start going down this slope, that's pretty much everybody. And the left is going to take that argument and they are going to run with it. And they're going to say, nope, conservatives started this. So they're going to define certain pockets as mentally ill and deny them gun access. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to broaden it because we're so brave and caring. We're going to make sure we take care of all the mentally ill people.
I'm totally with
country.
you. This is an incredibly complicated and hard decision to make. What we're talking about right now, though, are red flag laws. Back to the trans issue, on the overlap between mental health issues and trans, there is overlap. And I think you just agreed with me that there is overlap. What I'm curious about...
I mean, I will say this, like, there is data and research from agnostic clinicians who say that, yes, this is actually in large part a social contagion. And there was a big study that came out and said for a lot of these young people who are being diagnosed as trans, there are underlying mental illnesses that were not diagnosed or noted in the beginning, and perhaps maybe we should treat those first before we go on to the gender affirming care.
All right, you and I agree, and I think this is, I'm sure we will find our disagreement if we keep pushing in certain places, but what we have just done, I believe, through what I think is a nuanced, incomplete, but nuanced conversation, is get to a place where we kind of agree probably on 80% of this issue. That's good for me for now. What I'm curious about, what I'm driving towards in all this is, like you started this conversation with, I have a lot of trans friends. Mm-hmm. Can you have this same conversation with them?
Yes.
They can talk about the mental health aspects. They can talk about the underlying issues.
They may not agree, but I would have these conversations with Every single one of them.
And they
Through
would.
curiosity, not lecturing them, not telling them what their experience is versus what my beliefs are, but absolutely, I would talk about gun ownership. I would talk about personal responsibility.
But what
I would
about
talk about
the mental illness and the suggestibility side of
I
it?
would talk about that in terms of young people identifying in numbers that have doubled and tripled and exponentially increased over the last 5 to 8
You
years.
should put them on TV if they were willing to be on TV. Do you know why? If there are members of the trans community that are interested in having a conversation on this level about the real issues, not just affirm my identity, not erase my existence stuff, but having the real conversation, they're not getting airtime and they're not being seen. I don't hear from them.
Yeah.
And they should be. And
Well,
it's
I
awesome.
think a lot of
it's
people
awesome
are-
if you can have that
But
conversation.
they're not,
I would just love to
they're
hear
not
the
putting
conversation.
themselves out there. I mean, I know trans people who are libertarian and who are conservative, and they don't like their cause being made into this thing that makes them cultural pariahs, because a lot of people just want to live their lives. And it's like, I've had a lot of conversations with Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner is very conservative and very passionate about this issue and very trans. And it's like, I've been with her in restaurants and had people go, "Oh, there's Bruce. That guy's a man." And it's like, all right, what's your point?
Not to produce.
Yeah.
I would love to hear this on Kennedy Saves the World. I would love to hear that conversation. I think your subscriptions would go through the roof. I'm going to be with you a little bit later today.
I know, I
Thank
can't
you for
wait.
being with us here.
Thank you, Will.
Now, good to see you, Kennedy.
You too.
All right, check her out on Kennedy Saves the World. Coming up, Vince August, comedian, is going to talk to us about him taking the Pete and Bobby challenge and the controversy over commercials on the Red Zone channel. Coming up on Will Cain Country. Could Rosie O'Donnell have her citizenship revoked? It is Will Cain Country, streaming live at the Will Cain Country YouTube channel. Go right now, like, bookmark, hit subscribe, drop into the comments section, become a member of the Willisha, like Thomas Edward Brady, who just said, how many points does Will think the Eagles will win by tonight? Cowboys-Eagles, first game of the NFL season tonight. Here's what I think. You ever hear of the Ewing theory? Bill Simmons, Ewing theory?
I literally said it last week.
Okay, you're not the smartest
All right,
on everything.
yeah,
tinfoil.
relax.
You don't. You're,
Jesus.
you didn't. You're not Columbus.
Yeah,
okay,
go
you didn't
back to-
discover the Earth was round. Tinfoil Pat, 2-a-days Dan joining us now. Let's also welcome in comedian Vince August, who's with us here in the studios of Will Cain Country.
Once you start crying tonight,
Here we
do it
go.
again.
He's
I
waiting.
got
The
something
terrible
for
towel.
you.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
For tonight, just so we get.
All right, let's do this for a
Well,
minute.
tell
Let's
him.
do this. Let's do this for a minute.
All right, come on.
I got to turn these studios over to Kennedy here in a couple of minutes. First of all,
Yes.
Ewing theory. I do think there's a chance after trading Micah Parsons. Did you guys see Micah Parsons might have to have weekly back injections? I don't know if you know who Micah Parsons is, 2-a-days. He plays for the Packers now. That's your favorite team.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah,
I
he's a
think.
linebacker.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
you're
okay.
big
A
Packers
huge
fan.
sports
but,
fan. Yeah.
you've got a guy named Micah Parsons now
Yeah.
on your team. He used to be a
Dope.
Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah.
Generational talent.
He's having to get back injections 2-a-days, perhaps on a weekly basis. Did
Yeah,
we
that's
pull
rough.
off another great train robbery?
I would rather have Micah Parsons in a wheelchair than those two draft picks. How about that? Okay.
Reminds me of what I
That
said.
is the worst trade that team has ever made. And that was the team that got, what was it, like 80 draft picks
For Herschel Walker.
for Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
And then this is where you are now with
Well,
making trades.
And okay, since he's Columbus who discovered the first sports take, Tinfoil Pat did point out, the reason there's no more Herschel Walker trades is because there was the Herschel Walker
Right.
trade.
And now there will never be another Micah Parsons trade.
I think there's a chance that the Cowboys are better than everybody thinks because they think they're. I read an
You say
athletic
that every
article.
year.
I read an athletic article that said they're going to come in 13th in the NFC. That's like towards the bottom. There's only like 16 teams. And I was like, this could be one. This could be something. By the way, I'm not sure what expectations are on your Steelers.
I'm hoping. I have to be honest. I want the Tomlin era to end once and for all. I think he's, and I know this is going to upset a lot of Steeler fans and people in the NFL. I think he's the most overrated coach in the history of the NFL.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. 10-6, 9-8 means nothing to me. Super Bowls are what counts. And if you look at him in every big game, whether it's playoff game or late in the season game, they lose. And to me, that's what you're judged by. And looking at the team that he had that almost lost to the Cardinals in the Super Bowl. I was there for that game, and a lot of people forget how close that game was. And you look at the Packers Super Bowl, I just think that with the talent he had, if I give that same talent to another coach, it's 2 or 3 Super Bowl wins.
So you're done with Mike Tomlin.
I'm done with Mike Tomlin.
You're rooting against Aaron Rodgers.
I am, because he's not the long-term solution anyway. So
You're just ready to rip the Band-Aid off and move on to the next thing for Steelers.
If you're telling me that we can win the Super Bowl this year and Aaron Rodgers is going to do it for us, that's a pipe dream. That's
you are
nuts.
stuck in above-average mediocrity.
Yes, and that's
where
the
you are.
worst place to be. I would rather go 0-17 and give me a generational talent like, I don't know, a Micah Parsons, and hold on to him for his entire career, not trade him away for draft picks, and really build a team.
I didn't know you were such a sports guy. You should be with us throughout the season. I'm already enjoying this, although we'd be remote because I wouldn't see you in New York. Vince, do you watch Red Zone channel?
Everybody does. Anybody that has a fantasy football team watches Red Zone.
Are you mad? The news is Scott Hansen just announced on the Pat McAfee show that it will no longer be 7 hours of commercial-free football. The Red Zone channel is implementing commercials.
Right, which is, it's no longer the Red Zone channel. What is it now? Now I can flip around and find whatever team is in the Red Zone without the Red Zone channel. Now all I just need is an NFL package. I don't need the Red Zone channel anymore. And now I become Hansen and just flip game to game to game. Now I'm Scott Hansen. I don't need Scott Hansen anymore. I don't need him. I don't need Octobox. I am now my own Octobox.
So you're mad.
I am, because, look, let's be honest. What the NFL has become for a lot of people is the place to watch your fantasy players. Because most people that play fantasy football and are in it for money, there's a feeling that you're watching the guys on your team play.
Yeah.
You know, there's that coach weird aspect. You have no control over the game, no control over the outcome by watching, but you see your guys playing, and you can go game to game like this, watching your guys playing by doing nothing but sitting back and watching.
And now you've got commercial breaks.
Right. So now,
and how many things are we paying for under the banner of a subscription that we now get commercials? I mean, you name it, right? I don't know. Does Spotify Premium go without commercials? Does Hulu go without commercials? All these things have commercials.
And there's a lot of ways to do it without having a commercial break, like we see in soccer in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Run a banner. Give me a banner. Give me something, but don't break away from the game. Because now breaking away from the game, again, you're no different than me being at a bar surrounded by screens, and I could watch whatever screen I want to watch. Or you could get that at home now. Now, the only difference is I'm going to flip around channels.
You're absolutely right about soccer. Do a banner.
Do a banner.
All right, Vince August, comedian here with us on Will Kane Country. You did the Pete and Bobby challenge.
I did. Let me tell you something.
I'm just feeling him. I'm just feeling him up real quick to see what I'm dealing with.
Not to toot my own horn, but I saw everyone's videos, and everyone was speeding through the push-ups and the pull-ups because the pull-ups were not full lockouts. I'm going to say quality. I will put my push-ups and pull-ups against everybody that did the challenge. I'll put them up against.
Did you see mine?
I'm going to put my push-ups and pull-ups against everybody that did the challenge.
I will put the quality of my pull-ups against yours. My push-ups, I have a lot of room for. This is, what are you doing? You one at a time in it here? We're watching you up on the screen.
I'm 56 years old. What are you kidding me? One at a time? That's the last, 10.
How many pull-ups that was the last 10. That's what happened to Hegseth.
Yeah.
By the way, they crushed him because
Who also did bicep pull-ups.
He did chin-ups and he didn't go full down, but that was also his last 10. Like his first 40 looked, good.
Dude, do the challenge or don't do the challenge. You got to do the challenge right.
All right, what was your time?
It was over 10. It was 10 minutes, 56 seconds. I was disappointed in my time. I'm not going to lie. And I'm competitive and weird enough where I'm going to go back and do it again just to get it under 10.
Okay.
Because, I have that fire. Yeah, so I will go back and do it just because. Yeah.
5:12. NBD. 5:12.
That was your time?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. You're in phenomenal shape in that swimmer, volleyball player kind of way. If there's a barroom brawl, I'm going to say, well, go to the bathroom and cough out. But if we have something where we're doing like a triathlon, I'm definitely bringing you for the swim.
For the swim. I can't run.
Yeah.
I hate running.
I'll do the running.
Oh, you do the running.
I'll do the running.
All right, really quickly. Donald Trump has suggested he may revoke the citizenship of Rosie O'Donnell. In fact, watch. Or this is what he put up on Truth Social. He says, as previously mentioned, we are giving serious thought to taking away Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. She is not a great American, and in my opinion, and incapable of being one.
All right. I love this. And the reason I love this stuff is because if you don't understand who and what Donald Trump is, this is like the distraction thing that he does. And everyone out there that has a job, you know you have that fun thing you like to do, whether it's guys that go home and play video games or whatever it might be that is your fun, well, what do they call it? A guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
His guilty pleasure is going
He's
on
trolling
Twitter.
people on
It is. It is. I literally just taped the comedy special, and I talk about it in my special. I'm like, you have to understand what this guy is. He's a ball breaker. He's a construction guy from Queens who's just a ball, and he loves doing this. This is his amusement. This
think
is
you're right.
Yeah. And everyone jumps on this stuff. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is him after a tough meeting. I got to wind down. Give me my phone. Where's my phone? I got to wind down. Where's
Let's do
Rosie?
something on
Where's
Rosie. Let's do something on Rosie.
Where's Rosie? Rosie, I'm texting. Rosie, I'm going to do a thing today.
I was all prepared to have a conversation with Vince because he's also a judge and a lawyer. Like, okay, you can't really revoke citizenship for an American citizen, not a natural-born citizen.
Of course
They tried in the 60s.
He's not even
But he doesn't
trying.
care. That's your point. He doesn't care.
It's not even a thing he wants to do. It's like invading Canada. You know, we're gonna invade Greenland. None of this is serious. This is the bouncing ball for everyone to get just insane over.
Perfect analysis. Perfect analysis from Vince August. All right, man. Good to see you in person. I got to give the studio over to Kennedy.
Yep.
I appreciate the time. Hope to see you in person again sometime soon.
Anytime.
All right.
Anytime, brother.
Make sure to check Vince out. Thank you for hanging out with us today. That's going to do it for us today on Will Kane Country. Subscribe, bookmark, like it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We'll see you next time.